those of you just tuning in, Heard of the Story is an indie game I've been developing for roughly the last year. It's a game about being part of a medieval community with procedurally generated quests, stories, and most importantly the villagers that live within it. Think big brain NPC basically. I'd love to record the progress I make on this game in the form of these fun to produce devlogs and important playtests. Speaking of which, I started off this month with editing the first ever playtest of the game. It turned out great for feedback and actually kind of hilarious.
Oh my god, he's gone berserk!
Given all that great feedback, I'll now use it to improve the game. For example, at the moment there is a ghost option effect when the dialogue choice is unavailable. So I fixed that by in fact making the whole conversation option list dynamic to just the number of options that are available. But for sure the most fun part of the week is this little drawing. This is a sketch of a new village design. This one is a lot bigger. It holds around 30 houses instead of just 4. Given the size, it's a much better representation of what a medieval village might have actually looked like. Plus, it gives me a chance to make a more complex and interesting design. This one also features specialized buildings for the most important functions of a village. So this is town square, inn, market, blacksmith, and manor house, and most importantly, a farm to feed its villagers. Also, I think it might actually be faster to just write a random environment generator than manually position all of these trees and vegetation. So I started exactly on that. In this case, I'm using the Poisson disk algorithm. Smart people on the forums told me this one works best for things like forests. It's actually kind of fun to just walk around in. So this week, I mainly refactored how the villager remembers interacting with the world. This is the crucial step for them to learn and know what they like or dislike. I also spent some time integrating this with the procedural dialogue module so that a villager can then talk about their preferences. Once a week, I like to head for coffee to somewhere I've never been to before and go through a list of ideas I have to determine whether they fit in the roadmap or come up with new ideas in the process. This time I went to Coffeesmith, which is a small cafe that just opened last October. I was not disappointed though. The coffee was awesome and the staff were lovely. Would definitely recommend. During this week, I also went swimming for the first time in a while. Don't forget to stay healthy, game devs. Having finished all the behind the scenes refactoring, I integrated and exposed some villager small talk. Now they can talk to you about what they love or hate or don't mind about the small world. So at the moment, for previews of items that are shown in the UI, I use a 2D sprite that's pre-rendered in Blender. This is kind of time consuming, so I've always wanted to just replace this with rendering it directly in Unity. Alright, let's give that a go. Let's try again. That didn't quite work. Something's still not quite right. Alright. Halfway there. Let's add some rotation. Sweet. Now I should probably center things a bit. Centered. I also want to address some of the important feedback from the playtest. So I fixed the bug that caused the rampage fiasco you saw earlier. It happens when you try and interrupt a villager when they are busy doing something. Also, I added a skip dialogue keyboard button. Going back to the random generation, I want to scatter vegetation through the forest. A bit less vegetation. And a bit more variety. Here I also varied the scale and rotation of the trees. This makes the forest look a bit more natural. On an exciting note, I bought my own camera this week, the Canon M50. Most of the footage you've seen in this video is actually already recorded with it. Alright, so let's take this new camera for a spin. By the way, this is actually my final week in Oxford before moving back home for a bit, so I'm kind of happy I managed to squeeze this last trip in and get some cool shots before saying my goodbyes. Speaking of which... Goodbye, Jerry. You know what? For this week's progress, let me first show you what I've done in action. So, for this week, I have added new and interesting behaviour to the villagers so that they actually have a few different activities to choose from. It also helps make the village look more lively and filled with life already. At the moment, they mainly either gather resources like wood, stone and minerals, or they just choose somewhere to walk to. So the first new behaviour is walk into the town square. Since the map is already getting pretty big, I thought this could help bring the villagers back to the center. Next is a generic play with something behavior. They can play with any item they know how to, the idea being that different items trigger different play animations. For now though, I've only applied this to the pickaxe and axe. And a lie down action so they can relax. On a side note, I've also much improved the tree shake effects, animations and sounds. This is just a thing for me to have a little fun. Oh, and probably the most important thing you might have noticed is that I integrated the random environment generation with the village. Overall, it's been a very productive month, and I've really enjoyed putting together this video. Probably much more than the week devlog. But let me know which one you preferred in the comments. If you enjoyed the video and want to support the development of this game, you can buy some of the pixel or vector art I make from a metal poster shop called Display. Thanks for watching.